So I hope that was interesting. It's one of my favorite things to watch every semester I teach this class. Let's move on to the next method, and this is called copy testing. So sometimes it could be digital, by the way, or it could be print. Sometimes you want to check if people can actually read the material that you're presenting on your website, or if they can read the material that is presented in a physical paper or magazine. And that's what copy testing is. Sometimes you even need to do it for ads, advertisements. Can people understand, the text on that ad? Can they understand the material on that ad? Are they able to take action based on what they're seeing in the public relations campaign, whatever it is that you're doing? So copy testing as a method is basically just to see, can people read my material? Can people understand my material? You can easily do it online. It's cheaper, but sometimes we do it in focus groups as well. An example of something like this is, let's say a newspaper is trying to, or any kind of print publication, it wants to change the layout of the publication. So I want to give you an example of a newspaper that wanted to take out their lifestyle section of the newspaper. It's a true story. They wanted to take it out and move it into the Sunday edition, and they wanted to get rid of it in their daily edition. And they wanted to move the sports section, which was toward the back, to up in the front. And they wanted to do that because they felt like most of their readers really cared about sports and did not care about lifestyle. So they made the changes, and then they brought these people who were loyal newspaper readers, that particular newspaper. They brought those people to the focus group, and then they asked the question. They asked the question, like, can you find the things that you need in this newspaper? Can you find this section? Can you find that section? What do you feel about some of the changes that are made? And they took that information, and somebody said they cannot find the sports section, or they cannot find the daily news, like the little crossword that they used to do. Where is that? So obviously things had been moved, and the people had trouble finding it. Somebody said the crossword is too small. We can't see it. Now, keep in mind, it's a print publication, so the audience skews older, right? The younger people don't really read these newspapers. We all do digital stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that is tested in copy testing. Okay, let's move on to the next method, and that is what we call ethnographic research or ethnography. Now, this has roots in anthropology, and you go to school to study this stuff, to study anthropology methods. And ethnography is basically all about observation, watching people where they are and learning from them. So in consumer research, for example, your job would be to go sit at a pub and watch people drink beer. Let's say your client is a beer company who wants to know whether people drink light beer or regular beer. And you just sit there and you watch. The truth is, what people do and what they say they do are two totally different things. Most women would say, I would have a light beer because it's healthier for me. Most macho men would say, get me a regular beer, a dark, heavy one. That's what you would think. The truth is, when you start watching people drinking their beer, buying their beer, it's very far from that truth. It's very far from those assumptions. So this is the job for somebody who does ethnographic research. They would observe, they would participate, and they would learn. So it isn't about just what people do, but why they do it. And that's the kind of inquiry ethnographic research does. Now, in general, this is a very expensive proposition. A 4 to 5 month project for one researcher who travels to different places to learn about stuff would run close to $100,000. That would include what you would pay the researcher, and then in addition, it would include all the other airfare and paying respondents and things like that. So it's generally an expensive proposition. Same as focus groups. A focus group facility costs a lot of money. Flying people into those facilities costs a lot of money. So, just like ethnographic research, the focus group research conversation that we've just had just a few minutes ago, both are pretty expensive propositions. That's why you start to see a lot of online tools, video ethnographies, bulletin boards, very much like a Canvas or software or Blackboard or Sakai or whatever it is that you are familiar with, where you can type something and then somebody else cannot see your response unless they type something. And now all of a sudden, everybody's having a conversation. They're typing on their discussion board or bulletin boards, as you may call it. Um, and you could use a similar technology to research people as well as they write stream of consciousness style of writing. So nowadays, we tend to do, and especially past after COVID, we have started to do a lot of online ethnographies, online research, which is faster and which is also cheaper. It may be slightly less accurate, but it does the job.